Welcome to the New Dentist Study Club podcast. My name is Dr. Sanj Mohanta. We're going to learn about clinical management, practice management, and the emotional management of dentistry. Let's learn how to be happier in dentistry. Let's go. Thank you to our sponsors, Altum Dental Lab Group and RDT Dental Lab in Toronto. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again for this very special podcast with my friend, Dr. Jordan Sanders, who's going to teach us everything we want to know about 3D printing. Now, I met Jordan online, and at first I'm like, we're really talking about 3D printing on a podcast. I thought it was too futuristic. I thought, hey, I'm not doing it at my office. I'm an associate. Will other associates really relate to this? And then Jordan and I had a great conversation. And after that conversation, I wanted to get a 3D printer the next day. And so I think you're going to feel the same way, that this isn't something to think about to implement like 10 years from now. You're going to want to implement it this year. So Jordan, welcome to the pod. Tell us about yourself.
Thanks for having me. So I'm a dentist out in British Columbia in Kelowna, BC. I did a startup practice about 4 years ago. I've always been this really kind of weird, nerdy 3D printing guy. Like about a decade ago, I got into them printing little toys and making like 3D things. It's always just been the world that I've lived in. And I remember when it first came to dentistry, these old kind of clunky machines that were really slow, but it was kind of this first step into what I pictured to being the future. And so I got into it, and it's just been kind of snowballing since then. And in the last 24 months, the 3D printing world's kind of exploded. And I've been able to move my practice to this predominantly 3D printed workflow. And it's been just absolutely transformative in what we're able to do for our patients. And yeah, I mean, I had this kind of funny analogy that for those millennials out there that'll remember Plenty of Fish. Like it's kind of like Plenty of Fish was in the early 2000s. We kind of knew it was a thing. We didn't really want to talk about it because it's kind of weird. But, fast forward 15 years, 20 years, and everybody's, used it to some capacity.
Yeah.
That's where 3D printing is right now. Like it is the future. It is really what's going to allow us to create an entirely new path of dentistry for our patients.
Yeah, and I love the picture you sent to me last weekend where your kids made like little Pikachus
Yeah.
with a 3D printer. And I texted you like best dad ever, because I'm thinking for my kids, like I would make them these horrible things like made out of clay and pipe cleaners, and that'd be what I would make for my kids, but what you made for your kids was next level. So I can't wait to like provide next level stuff for my patients as well. So the question when we chatted, like the question I had for you was how what's an easy way to implement 3D printing into practice?
I mean, it can start as simply as just models. Like when I was in dental school, which was 10 years ago, and it feels not like 10 years ago, but it was. And, we were doing stone, we were doing alginate. Like we haven't used an alginate in my office in 3 years. Like I bought a box of stone 4 years ago when we opened, and I just gave it away. It was unopened. We haven't even poured a stone model. And it's that transformation that I think is really easy way to start. Because when you bring models into the workflow, it just kind of snowballs from there. Like you can take that in any direction that you want. There are inexpensive 3D printers out there that can get you into the realm. That you can buy a $400 Frozen Sonic Mini and get a couple little attachments for it, and you could be up and running for $1,500. And it can print whatever you want. Like you don't need to stop at models. But I always find this kind of analysis paralysis thing. Like you're looking at this new tech and you're saying, I have no idea where to even start with this. It was part of the reason why we started our teaching center out here in Kelowna, was to be able to help people get into it, just because it's so freaking cool that I couldn't imagine working without it now. And I want to kind of empower people to do that for themselves. But it doesn't take much. There's free software out there. It is if you're dedicated and have a little bit of spare time, you could be printing within the week, and it's not as cumbersome as you might think.
Even someone who's not techie can figure this out?
100%. Like my 3D printing is completely delegated in the office. I don't do any of it. I did at the early stage. I trained the team, but now it's all my team that does it. Like I don't, even if you're not techie, there are people out there that can help you, and there are resources even on YouTube. Like you don't need to pay to go see a course necessarily. You can watch YouTube videos and learn how to do all of this. Um, it's not that complicated.
And are 3D printed like dentures, inlays, night guards, are they actually superior to the ones that are made the traditional way?
I
And
mean,
how are
isn't that the
they?
ultimate question, right? So the real answer to your question is the
Yeah.
data is still coming out because it's all relatively new. Canada's kind of interesting. We're usually about a year behind the US on their approved technologies and resins. So we kind of get a bit of time to see what happens in the States. But there's now a lot of data coming out specifically about dentures. And like I could talk all day about how we do our dentures because I think we all come out of dental school hating dentures. And I have this kind of way that we talk about doing dentures now, which I think makes it way more accessible for all clinicians. But they're they're not necessarily superior, but they're different in a positive kind of way. They're as the resins start to improve, the stain resistance is becoming better, the strength is becoming better, and that kind of line between a traditional denture tooth processed acrylic denture and a 3D printed one is that gap is narrowing, and it's narrowing very, very quickly. So is it better? I mean, it's a different product, is probably what the best thing to say there is. But it's what we do as definitive prosthesis in our office. Like we're doing 3D printed dentures. I have no problems um, giving out a 3D printed denture. I think ours look better, honestly, because we spend some time making them look like real teeth. And so there's some power there.
Yeah, I agree with you on the 3D printed dentures because recently the New Dentist Study Club had an in-person denture night
Mhm.
at Ivoclar's facility in Mississauga, and they showed us 3D printed dentures, and they also said that these dentures actually don't pick up as much stain, and they also don't retain as much plaque, so
Mhm.
they're not going to look as gross. And also an advantage is if the person breaks their denture, loses their denture, well, you have a digital file, they can just remake it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Mhm.
I won't don't want to spend a ton of time bugging you down with denture stuff, but like my protocol, how we do it in the office is our dentures, either if it's an immediate or if it's replacing an existing denture, are 2 appointments pretty much fully digital. So it's a pair of photos for smile design, a edentulous arch scan with a scanner. Usually, if we need to take a bite, that's where the analog world comes back in a little bit. But for the most part, we can take purely digital files, scans of fully edentulous ridges, and bring it into exocad. I can design a denture in about 20 minutes, print it off, and that's it. So the patient's in the chair for half an hour on day one and half an hour on day two, and denture's done, and that's it. That's all it takes. And so it's kind of this, we look at these like 4 appointment processes and these kinds of things that we're used to when it comes to this type of work. And it's still really good to do it that way, but you don't necessarily need to. And so now we have this. I teach this one kind of really interesting protocol for people that want to do more surgery but don't want to do more dentures. Is that if you have a 3D printer and you have people that need extractions, but they don't want to go without teeth, you can design an immediate denture for them, 3D print it, take out all of their teeth and insert this thing. charge them a couple $100 and call it a healing denture. And they get to wear that for 3 or 4 months, and then you just refer them off to the denturist and they can get their definitive one. You've created this opportunity now where they get a better result because they're waiting post healing and they haven't, you get to do more tooth extractions, which is, I think, something that a lot of dentists really like to do, and practice smile design while you're at it. So there's a lot of new avenues that didn't exist before this technology came into the field, and it's really exciting.
Oh my gosh, I have chills when you told me about that because I'm just thinking about it from the patient's perspective, like
Mhm.
their experience. Like it is like my heart breaks every time I have to do full mouth clearance on someone, especially when I have to when they can't afford an immediate denture and I have to say, well, you just have to wait 3 months for healing and then
Mhm.
you can get your denture. And it's devastating for them. Their life is on hold for those months. And
Totally.
to provide this for them for just a few $100s.
It's
Like,
cool.
that's why we went into dentistry,
Yeah.
to improve people's lives. So this is a huge, easy way to improve the patient experience. Plus, they don't have to do that funky alginate stuff.
I mean, this is it's really the future. Like the technology is so powerful, and we're just kind of getting into it. Like 3D printing is going to be an inevitability in the dental practice. It's kind of like digital radiographs. Like it'll be one of those things that you just need to have because of the power that it offers you. And you're going to have patients kind of weirded out when you start bringing out certain things that are maybe looked as a bit old. Um, so yeah, I mean, the time is now. If you can get into it, you can really set yourself apart as being different than other dental offices.
It's true. Like, you made me think back of like when some offices still use developer and fixer for their radiographs, or they have paper charts, and it's just so cringeworthy. Like, I don't want to be in an office like that. So yeah, this is like just showing your patients. This is, we're in line with new technology. We're doing things to make your experience better. It's not only faster, but it's better. And that's what makes dentistry interesting. Is all the new technology. It's like no year is the same as the last year. Like we're always growing.
So
So
true.
yeah, I'm looking forward to the challenge of 3D printing. So tell us, Jordan, if someone's interested in 3D printing, what are the steps involved?
I mean, I guess the first question to ask yourself is really what it is. What's your end goal, right? Like how deep down this rabbit hole do you want to go? Because you can go pretty far. Like, and I get not everyone's as nerdy as I am and gets super jazzed about this kind of thing. But the easiest way to start is just to get a printer. Just get a printer. I mean, depending on the situation, there's a lot of kind of big names out there. We specifically use a lot of SprintRay in our office, which is a wonderful ecosystem and one that I think works really well for new dentists and delegatable tasks. Um, and then from there, depending on where you're at, if you want to do your own design, if you want to source out the design, those types of things are other questions that you need to ask. If you have an Itero, you have access to what's called Itero Design Suite, which is actually a kind of a light version of exocad, which is super powerful and totally free and very cool that Align kind of has given that out. But it seems like an intimidating piece of software, but once you learn it, you kind of get the sense of what it is that you're capable of. So, I mean, get a printer and get some training. I mean, there's lots of sources out there. You know, we're just one option as far as getting into this field. But the once you open that door, it's really hard to close it because you know what you're capable of now, and you look back at some of these other systems that you were using and say, this is just not as cool. Uh, but just like anything, like you need a system in place to use the new shiny gadget. Um, but once you have that system, you really become unstoppable. Like the momentum you generate can be out of this world, and you're just not going to go back to what you did before.
So Jordan, you mentioned to figure out what your end goal is. So what if at the beginning I'm like, okay, let me just use it for night guards. So would that be a different type of 3D printer than if I was like, oh, maybe I'll do like surgical guides and dentures and like even more and inlays and onlays? Like, are there different size 3D printers, or can you use that Sprint Ray for everything?
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of it, right? Like the Sprint Ray or any 3D printer really can do all of those things. Only thing that you're changing out is the type of resin that you're using to accomplish the task. So, I mean, if you just want to do models, you can absolutely do that. If you want to do like full on, I'm going to replace every single class 2 composite that I do now with a 3D printed one, you can do that as well. Same printer, same protocol. It's just a matter of where you want to take your practice, which is like, I mean, name another piece of technology that's that versatile. Like that's the thing. And we're not talking $50,000 here. We're talking 20. It's not in the realm of dental tech, it's not a crazy expense for the amount of power that it's going to give you.
And I like how you mentioned using it for restorations
Hmm.
because like you said on our phone call, like those MOD or back-to-back restorations, they're hard. It's
Hmm.
hard to get contacts, the perfect marginal ridges, the occlusion, but you make your restorations with your 3D printer. So tell us the steps involved with
I mean, it is so cool. I love it. I like
that.
some people it is their jam to do quadrant MODs. And you know what? The power to you. Doing those really well for me is freaking hard. And the transformation was basically saying, I'm going to do this a little differently. I throw on a rubber dam, pre-scan your patient, throw on a rubber dam, prep your teeth. You're prepping inlay prep, so it's a little bit more cumbersome than maybe a regular old, class 2 or class 3. Then I just walk out of the room and my assistant grabs a scanner and scans with the rubber dam on. And I go and sit at my computer and I do this step because I enjoy it, but it's very delegatable. And as we advance, AI will probably be doing this for us. But I just design the inlays. And the printers these days, well, I mean, the current printers available in Canada can print an MOD or 4 MODs in about 15 minutes. So, I'm having a coffee while the things are on the printer and my assistant is getting them ready and she just brings them into the op and I just glue them in. And it's like done. And it's so much like the contexts are perfect, the occlusion's perfect, the material is stronger. Like it's like having a milled composite basically.
Yeah,
Um,
you don't have to worry about polymerization shrinkage.
no, absolutely not. And so it's like, yeah, I mean that for me is a really nice use of time. I don't book any more time to do that than I did to do the restorations in the first place. And the really cool thing is as this technology improves, like I remember we were talking on our call about the Midas, which is available in the States right now. Like that technology will take a 15-minute print down to a 5-minute print. And it'll be sitting in the operatory. You don't have to get up. It'll be done. So, I mean, I see once that piece of technology is out, I probably will eliminate most direct composites from my daily workflow. I just won't have a reason to do them anymore because this is just better, in my opinion. Um, and it's way more fun.
Yeah, because it's like you said, it's so stressful.
Mhm.
And sometimes we have to redo it because the contact's not perfect. And it's better for the patient because it's going to last longer.
Yep.
And you were talking about designing the inlay. Like, how many courses do you have to take in figuring out how to design it?
I mean, if you're so I'll give a little plug to what we do. Like so our teaching institute is based around implementation of this kind of technology. So it's about design and print. That's kind of the main focus. We have some other avenues that we teach as far as practice management goes, but the main thing is how do you design and print the thing, whatever it is. It could be the denture, it could be chairside restorations like inlays, onlays, crowns, prepless 3D printed veneers, uh, whatever tech that you want or whatever restoration you want to implement. We do a 2-day course on it. the idea with it is you come to this 2-day course, you leave, you're doing this on Monday. Like there's no reason not to do it on Monday. Um, because we do all the reps. We really try to work out the kinks in your brain and have you doing it as soon as you are literally able to sit down in your practice. So
Oh,
it's
that's
yeah, it's fun.
great.
It's
And
yeah. I mean, you
that's the
can
whole
you can
point of taking
over-
courses. You should be able to implement it the next day.
yeah, absolutely.
And what I really love about your courses is not just for dentists, it's for the team. Because if
Yeah.
these tasks are delegatable, you need to have your team there too.
Well, that was the huge pain point that we tried to address with it is, and I've found this personally, like I done hundreds and hundreds of hours of CE, and you go learn something, and the team is kind of sitting there staring at you with doe eyes on Monday because they're like, "What did you learn, and what are you going to change, you crazy
Now
person?"
they hate it.
Yeah. And so we designed these courses as a team approach. So yeah, you buy a ticket, you get two people. So yourself plus a team member, you share a workstation, you do everything together, you learn all the workflows. And then the idea being that you both go back to the practice, you continue on doing the dentisting, and your team member is now in a position to actually be able to implement the system. And that's the idea, because that's the bottleneck is getting the team on board. But if you have a team member that's already on board, that process should be far smoother. We've had really good success with that model. And it's been it's cool to see as we have people, 6 months out of our courses, sending us photos of the things that they're doing. And it's like, this is really cool that you're doing this neat stuff in your practice now.
Good. And Jordan, how about, people who don't have their own practices, they're not going to be able to invest in a 3D printer. Like, is an easy way to get involved with this is to, do your traditional scan in your office and then ask your lab to 3D print whatever it is, like the night guard, and just to see what the difference is between a 3D printed night guard and the traditional models.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of it is you can implement it on whatever level you want. If as an associate, if it was me, I just buy my own printer because,
Oh.
like, and the reason for that is I understand and I really strongly feel that it is going to be something that will set you apart.
Mm.
They're inexpensive. There's lots of financing available. You can do it for cheap. And even if you are purely doing this yourself, like if you're an associate, you have no ability to delegate these tasks out, it doesn't take as much time as you would think to do that lab stuff. And you can be very intentional about it, even if it's just surgical guides. Like that's where it started for me after models was doing my own surgical guides. I didn't want to spend $300 every single time I wanted to put an implant in because they're already expensive. It's already a barrier to care for the patient. I wanted to make it easy to do guided surgery because I find that to be very predictable. And so it's like I'm just going to eliminate this step for the patient. I don't even charge them for it. It's like $5 for me to make a surgical guide, and I am now able to feel more confident in my surgery and decrease my appointment time because I know that it's predictable. So, I mean, the although it's hard as an associate, I totally get it. I've been there. I was an associate for 6 years before I opened my own practice. Um, there's going to be a time when it's just like I'm going to invest in myself, and that's what a printer is. And that's where I would honestly that's where I would start. It's just you can source it out to a lab. You can do that stuff. That all works well. Labs are excellent at that. Um, but my whole mantra was how do I take control of this myself? Because I want to be the hands-on that delivers this. Because I want to be accountable to the work that goes in, right?
Yeah, I like how you said, just buy it yourself. Hey, we buy our own loops and take it from office to office that we associate with. Why not take your own 3D printer? And I also like how you said set yourself apart because especially in a competitive area like Toronto, how are you going to set yourself apart? Like, why would that principal dentist even want you there? But if you provide this and patients are going to see that you provide something spectacular and special, that, yeah, it's going to increase your patient base.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, that's the thing about the two-person course approach too is even if as an associate you can't convince your principal to invest in this tech, your staff sure will be able to, because I can promise you they don't like taking those alginate impressions. You know, they don't want to pour up that stone model and sit there on the trimming it in the back with the, it sounds like a shop class. Like they have no interest in doing that. And if you show them a way out, you can bet your bottom dollar they will be advocates for that technology. Um, so yeah, I mean, you're not in this alone.
Good, good. Now you talked a lot about your course in Kelowna. I'm so intrigued. Tell us more.
Yeah, so we run a series of courses. It's kind of designed as a continuum. We have twice a year what's called Intro to 3D Printing and Design. Our next one is actually this coming November. The idea there is people that have absolutely zero design experience and zero 3D printing experience will come to this course and will walk out being able to design and 3D print their own night guards. So that's kind of when we talk about return on investment, you know, there's lots of whether you do a lot of night guards or not, the the ability to take that lab fee and bring it internally is incredible. Like that return, I think I paid off the first Sprint Ray printer that I got in 3 months with just night guards alone. And so that was kind of an eye-opening part of that. But the intro course is meant as our like starting point in the program. So you come there, we're gonna throw exocad at you, we're gonna throw 3D printing at you. We try to stay brand agnostic to 3D printers because we understand that everybody has different ones. We use the Sprint Ray printers at the course because it's just what I use predominantly, but that is applicable to every single 3D printer out there. They're not that different. After that, there's another series of levels up that you can go depending on what you want to do. So there's a course on 3D printed removables, which is basically printing flippers. So a lot of options to make flippers for, you know, implant surgeries, just make them a tooth. Full dentures, partial dentures. We go through in both immediate and delayed setup for denture design. And then that will level up into all on X. We also do chairside dentistry, so that's your inlays, onlays, temporary crowns, that kind of thing. We have a smile design and 3D printed prepless veneer course. So
Wow.
prior to this, I was doing a lot of BioClear, and I've essentially replaced BioClear with this approach. So we do essentially no prep 3D printed veneers for people that want a cosmetic upgrade at not a porcelain veneer price, which is super fun. And we have some other stuff in there. We run an office manager training program. We have a dental photography program. Really, we're trying to just expand with uh, high quality education. You know, I've been to enough crappy CE to know that it doesn't take much to just make it awesome, and that's what we're shooting for. Is we want people to leave feeling like they really got what they paid for. And we make ourselves available after the course. There's private groups that we create for WhatsApp so that people can ask questions. It's just a really fun community that we're building. And it's so rewarding for me to see what everyone's able to produce after coming to these courses. So yeah, I mean, even if it's intimidating, we'll make it fun for you, and we'll bring you in so that you know what you're doing when you leave on Sunday.
Sounds super fun, super supportive. Tell us what your website is or how to reach you on Instagram if you want
Yeah,
to
so
learn this for us.
yeah, absolutely. So the website's ascenddentaleducation.com. There's registration for courses right on there. Everything's taught in Kelowna, but Kelowna is a pretty cool place to come. So if you haven't been to the interior of BC, it's a great place to visit. The Instagram is just at Ascend Dental Education. We have a ton of educational content that we produce on there. Uh, if you guys follow us on Ascend Dental Education and send me a DM and say New Dental Study Club, I'll send you a little either a step guide for creating a crown and design suite, or a coaching exercise, depending on what it is you produce or what it is that you'd like to get out of that. So,
Oh, that's so kind of you,
yeah, little
Jordan.
incentive.
So we're going to end with the toughest question. The question I'm dying to ask is, what is the coolest thing you've ever made with a 3D printer? Non-dental.
Non-dental.
Yes.
The coolest thing that I've made with a 3D printer that is non-dental. Wow. Okay, so do you play board games?
I do.
Okay. There's a game out there called Settlers of Catan. Are you familiar?
My son plays that one. I
Okay.
haven't played it.
Okay, so Settlers of Catan was kind of a staple in my university days, and I 3D printed a three-dimensional version of Settlers of Catan. So it's all the little tiles were three-dimensional and all the little pieces, and it fits in this big box that I made. I gave it as a gift to my sister for her 30th birthday. But hand painted it all. It was a project, but that was by far the most fun thing I've printed.
Wow. See that, everyone? Just can't make night guards and crowns. You can make Pikachus, board games, and you'll have the coolest gifts to give to your family.
Well, that was the like we stopped buying the old toys for our the kids in the office. Like we don't buy toys anymore. We just 3D print everything. So the 3D printer, we have
Your
a
treasure box
yeah, yeah,
is
we have
full of
a
3D
we have a
printed stuff.
3D printer in the lobby, and it's just going all the time. And it's just printing knick-knacky things. But the kids get to pick a little 3D printed toy, and it's actually cheaper than buying the toys from SmileMaker or whoever you buy from.
Oh
And
my
people
God.
love it. People are just they sit there fascinated just watching this thing printing all the time.
I love it. I'm gonna steal that idea.
Yeah,
No more dollar store for me.
totally.
Well, thank you, Jordan. That was so much fun. I can't wait to get into 3D printing. I can't wait to meet you in person in Kelowna, and I'll be seeing you this fall. And
Yes.
you have a course coming up in November in Kelowna, BC. Do you still have spots open for that course?
Yeah, we do have some spots available for that course. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've revamped a few things. We're bringing a brand new version of this course in November. It's going to be super freaking cool. I'm really pumped about for the participants that are going to come for us in November.
Well, I'm pumped as well. So check out Jordan on Instagram at Ascend Dental Education. Thank you so much for listening. So grateful to all of you, and so grateful to you, Jordan.
Thank you. It's
Thanks
been
for
fun.
everything you taught us, and I can't wait to learn more from you.
Amazing.
Okay, bye everyone. This podcast is sponsored by RDT Dental Laboratory, your full service dental lab in Toronto. RDT Dental Lab will help you grow your practice through education, predictable restorations, and high attention to your clinical needs and patient experience. Check them out at rdtdentallab.com. Thank you for listening to the New Dentist Study Club podcast. Listen to us on Spotify, watch us on YouTube, share and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at New Dentist Study Club.